They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something, just kill them.
Involuntary lethal injection, just kill them. That's what Brian Kilmeade just effortlessly uttered on Fox News as the panel was discussing homeless individuals, some of whom do have severe mental health issues and refuse help when offered housing or mental health services. Now, that refusal is obviously, tragic. You want to help these people, but not Brian Kilmeade. He thinks we should literally kill them. So the comments came as the panel was discussing the murder of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska, who we covered, by the way, last week. So check out that video. This was a lethal stabbing in North Carolina while she was on a train. Now, the 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown was arrested on August 22nd after police say he stabbed the 23-year-old 3 times while she was riding the Lynx Blue Line in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, the mother of the suspect here, DeCarlos Brown, had said that he shouldn't have been out on the streets, that he had serious mental health issues. He also had a very lengthy criminal record. Brown's mother, Michelle DeWitt, told local television she sought an involuntary psychiatric commitment this year after he became violent at home. Doctors diagnosed him with schizophrenia. So that was the context of the discussion. Now, during that discussion, as you heard, Lawrence Jones, started to make the case that, look, something needs to be done. You can't just allow people suffering from severe mental illness to roam the streets, potentially harming themselves and harming others. And that's when Kilmeade made this inflammatory statement.
We don't have to, we feel so compassionate because you see the mental health crisis happening.
Exactly.
But it's not our job. We shouldn't have to live in fear while they figure out what's going on right there.
Right.
Put them in a mental institution, put them in a jail, and you guys figure it out. But people having to duck and dive on the trains and the buses, walking through the street, this is one case, but this is happening all across the country, and it's not a money issue. They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something, just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right, I would say this, we're not voting for the right people.
So look, I mean, both Ainsley and Jones appeared to just kind of brush over the comment, not even acknowledge it. But look, Jones seemed a little bit shocked by what Kilmeade said. So just take a quick look at this video.
Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something, just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right.
Okay, the look on his face, like that realization that he's in a room with a literal monster who thinks you should murder homeless people if they reject assistance. Wow. So, like we said, following the broadcast, Kilmeade was met with a lot of backlash, understandably so. Representative Don Beyer of Virginia posted the following: America's homeless population includes over 1 million children and tens of thousands of veterans, many of whom served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Nobody deserves to be murdered by the government for mental illness or poverty. These Fox hosts are calling for mass murder. It's sick. I agree with that. Now, author Shannon Watts also posted, Kilmeade is advocating for extrajudicial killings on Fox, yet Matthew Dowd was fired by MSNBC, pointing out Charlie Kirk's dangerous rhetoric. This moral asymmetry in the media and online is destroying democracy. And look, I actually think that is a bit of a fair point. I mean, if the MSNBC employee gets fired for pointing to some of the inflammatory statements that Charlie Kirk had made in the past, how is it that a host on Fox can literally call for the murder of homeless people, and that's totally fine? No consequences. Now, he did get some enough backlash where he issued an apology. I just want to go to the last video. Take a quick look at this.
In the morning, we were discussing the murder of Irina Zaruska in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how to stop these kinds of attacks by homeless, mentally ill assailants, including institutionalizing or jailing such people so they cannot attack again. Now, during that discussion, I wrongly said they should get lethal injections. I apologize for that extremely callous remark. I'm obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion. Lawrence, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brian. I'll see you tomorrow.
So look, he issued the apology after he got a lot of backlash, Cenk. And it is pretty rare for anyone at Fox News to apologize for anything. I don't think they would apologize if it was just the left that was outraged by this. I think that everyone of all political persuasions found that comment disgusting, and that gives me a little bit of hope in the country. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first, I noticed the same thing about Lawrence Jones' reaction. He's like, yeah.
Totally, yeah.
Right? It's like that was kind of in the middle of a super dark story. That was kind of amusing. All right, to Kilmeade, I would have thought that he would come out and say, no, I meant lethal injection to the guy who killed the other person, right? No, apparently he meant in general. I mean, that's what he said. But I would have figured he would at least use that as an excuse, but he didn't. So yeah, he meant in general. Wow. And to your point, Anna, I think there's two reasons why he came out and apologized, which is very rare on Fox News. Number one, Republicans also have family members who are veterans and on hard times and who might have become homeless. That's not a partisan issue, that's not a political issue. So probably a good number of people wrote in, at some point I was homeless or a family member was homeless. This is beyond callous, right? And of course, the second thing that happened, and to be fair, I don't know the timeline well enough to know if the Charlie Kirk thing happened in the middle, right? But I know that, of course, after Charlie Kirk was killed, there was a lot of people paying attention to calling for media figures, calling for folks to be killed. And that is not a good look in that context. So I don't know if that affected the situation at all. But bottom line is, look, I'll give him massive discredit for what's apparently in his head and just about as ludicrous and ridiculous and terrible a thought as you could have. And I'll give him a little bit of credit for the apology. That does matter and doesn't make it all go away, but at least he did that, which we don't always or often get these days.
Yeah, I guess. My bigger issue, Cenk, is we're now living in a culture where human life doesn't mean much. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep. And I hate it. I hate it so much. I really do. These are human beings, and you don't know what their story is. You don't know what they've been through. My absolute closest best friend, she's a social worker, and I remember her telling me about a client, no personal details, just like in general. Like there was a client she was struggling with because he was a young man, came from a wealthy family. But you don't get diagnosed with schizophrenia until you're like in your early 20s. So he had a great life, and then boom, in his early 20s, he gets diagnosed with schizophrenia. And he was in denial about it and refused to take his medication and ended up on the streets. That person does not deserve to be killed over his mental illness. And finding the right solution, finding the right balance is difficult. I will acknowledge that. But we have to approach this very real crisis in the country from a place of humanity. Because when you start to dehumanize people like this, we've just totally lost the plot. The things that used to make this country great, gone. We're supposed to value human life, not just throw people away because they have a mental illness, and in the midst of their mental illness, refuse assistance from the government.
Yeah, so real quick, last two things. Yeah, I told the story before. I've got a loved one who had schizophrenia, and if you said to me, give him freedom and let him go on the streets, I'd say, what, are you nuts? What does that mean? That's not a real thing. No, we need to get him help, okay? And we did. And by the way, he's better now. And so, Brian, we didn't have to kill him, okay? But I do believe in involuntarily committing some folks if they're not doing things that help themselves, or they are actively doing things that are putting themselves or others into danger. But Anna, you're so right about the dehumanization. Now it's like, okay, killing is the right answer. I forgot the question. And no, we've got to be able to, empathize with one another and go back to decency and humanity. So that was a particularly ugly moment there on Fox News. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.